Today on Arts 24, the breakout star of one of the most anticipated films of the year. American actress Monica Barbaro plays folk music icon Joan Baez in the Bob Dylan biopic, opposite Franco-American star Timothée Chalamet. They've both been nominated for an Oscar. Monica has gone from flying fighter jets in Top Gun Maverick with Tom Cruise to fighting baddies for the CIA next to Arnold Schwarzenegger in the series Fubar. I met her as a complete unknown premiered in Paris.
The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times must a man look up before he can see the sky?
Monica, congratulations, you totally blew us away.
Thank you.
In your performance. What attracted you to this role and what was it like stepping into the shoes of someone who's such an icon?
Well, I mean, I initially was just, the idea of getting to work with James Mangold was really exciting to me. I really admire his filmmaking, and I think he's just such an interesting person, interesting director. And so initially that was just, you know, the first step.
Well known for his Johnny Cash biopic, Walk the Line, James Mangold has been working on the film for more than 5 years.
Like a rolling stone, taking.
The Bob Dylan story in itself is a story about being an artist and how we find our way in the world. One of the things that's most important to me are the performances, is the collaboration with the actors.
Once upon a time, you're just so fine. Through the bums of dime in your prime. Elle Fanning and Monica and Edward and Boyd, they're incredible. We actually got an incredible cast. This isn't like movie PR bullshit. Like, we worked our asses off on this. This movie's well worth it. It's easy to talk about because Bob Dylan's easy to talk about in the movie. I don't want to be overconfident, but we really did our job.
And the friends I will make.
Joan Baez was already a folk music star when she met the up-and-coming Bob Dylan in the early 60s. They soon became music collaborators as well as lovers.
And we build our own sky.
Yeah, getting to learn about Joan, I mean, she's just such an incredible artist and activist, and everything that I learned about her that made me excited also made me extremely intimidated to play her because, you know, she's just, I admire her so much.
And did you reach out to Joan?
I did. I hesitated for a while just while I was preparing, and then I heard that Ed Norton spoke to her, and you know, she had given the film her arrangements of her songs, and so, you know, I appreciated how generous she was being, and then I started having dreams about her, and I was like, okay, I think my subconscious is telling me that it's time to reach out, and so I did, and in the middle of production, and she was generous enough to give me her time and get on the phone with me.
Fellas, this here's Bagman.
Hangman.
Whatever.
What the hell kind of mission is this?
Everyone here is the best there is. Who the hell are they gonna get to teach us?
I know in the past you learned to fly planes for a role. In this we see you as this incredible singer and guitarist. How challenging was that?
So more challenging, I think, than what we did in terms of flight, just in part because it was so, I find singing to be a very intimate experience. It's very vulnerable. I definitely, you know, I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed getting to learn the skills in a technical way, but also that vulnerability was just such a challenge for me. It felt more intimate than emoting in normal roles. For some reason, singing just felt so intimate with an audience, and like a lot of pressure also, just because I really love Joan's voice.
Once upon a time, you're just so fine.
All of the music in the film is performed live, as well as Timothée Chalamet and Monica, who learned the guitar for the role. Edward Norton plays Pete Seeger, and Boyd Holbrook, who's Johnny Cash, all learned their instruments and sang in front of audiences. Elle Fanning plays Bob Dylan's long-suffering girlfriend.
Sylvie, they remember what they want, they forget the rest.
I was blown away by everyone singing and the work that they put into it. I mean, I know that Timothy had,
he had 5 years to train and learn all the songs. I mean, I think he said he's learned like 50 Dylan songs that he can play and sing, and some of them, aren't even in the movie. He just learned them. And Monica, she never even sang before or played any instruments, and learned for this, which that is just astounding. I'm like, you need to put an album out. Your voice is so beautiful.
When you have artists whose whole brand, who the identifying attribute of their music is its authenticity, its earnestness, its honesty, to do that in a way where it's not even their own voice coming out of their mouth seems a contradictory notion from the beginning.
Away from my window, leave at your own chosen speed. I'm not the one you want, babe. I am not the one you need.
I wanted to talk about your work with Timothée. I read that one of your first meeting was a musical rehearsal.
Yeah.
What was that like, and how did you get this amazing musical chemistry?
Well, I mean, I think we dove in so intensely in our own ways and sort of siloed preparation. And, I mean, that just took so much time, and I was really glad we waited until we had musical proficiency to meet, because Bob and Joan met in the music scene when they were really, advanced in their musical skills. So I'm glad we waited until that point to meet, and then it just sort of fell into place.
You tried too hard to write.
Really?
Yeah, if you're asking.
I wasn't.
Sunsets and seagulls, smell of buttercups. Your songs are like an oil painting at the dentist's office.
You're kind of an asshole, Bob.
You're also a CIA agent in the Netflix show Fubar with Arnold Schwarzenegger. What's it like juggling these completely different roles, especially when some of the filming overlapped, didn't it?
It did. That was really wild. That was very intense. I would be filming, like the It Ain't Me, Babe song. We performed that on stage, and I was like throwing off my guitar and the beads and like running to a car, then to get on a plane to go film in Toronto. And that was a pretty wild experience. I still kind of can't believe that I did the two things at the same time. But both productions were so supportive of me and of each other, and really understanding, and put me in the best position possible to be able to do both. And so I just felt really lucky that I was able to work in both situations.
She is iconic, but her identity as a Mexican-American artist isn't always highlighted. Not everyone knows about it. How did your Mexican heritage inform your portrayal of her?
Well, she's mixed, and as am I, and my mom is as well. And my mom and I, for years, have just had conversations about identity. And, I think when you're mixed, you're kind of always reminded that you don't quite belong anywhere. And so, and I felt that so deeply in Joan's memoirs. And she and I never spoke about it, but I think it is something that when you speak with other people who are mixed, it's kind of the through line. It's a commonality that you share. No matter what the mix is, you sort of, there is this kind of identityless existence. And I connected with, I felt I connected with her on that in the material. And also, I appreciate that the film doesn't talk about it. It's not a subject that always has to be discussed, and it is all the time. So it was nice in this film that she was, she existed as an incredible musician, as a really successful woman, before Bob even arrives on the scene, and that's what's most important, and what she was saying with her voice, and what she, did for his career, more so than a conversation around ethnicity and percentages and things like that.
1960s New York is one of the key characters in the film, a city blossoming with artistic and bohemian energy.
It is a fascinating moment for me. I do think it's a turning point in world culture, and certainly in the United States, where where modernism had arrived and modern issues had arrived in the sense of fear of nuclear annihilation and in the sense of a new kind of global politics in terms of civil rights, in terms of women's rights, and artistically that there was suddenly a kind of expansion of how we had ever seen everything since the post-war period.
Why do you think people are still so fascinated by that period?
I mean, so much change occurred. I think, these artists were born at the end of World War II, and that had a huge effect. The way that war ended, I think, changed society forever. And what that meant at that time and the way they reacted, the things they felt the need to say in their early 20s, they were bold. And I think it completely changed the world. And so to see the art progress after that time, I think it makes a lot of sense that things shifted hugely artistically. And I think because of that, it's a point of, deep fascination.
I've noticed you're wearing a lot of Dior for the promo of this film.
Yeah.
What does French fashion and style mean to you?
Oh, I mean, French fashion, I feel like, is the pinnacle of fashion artistry. I grew up loving fashion. I'm an art lover. My mother and I would go I grew up near San Francisco, and we'd go to the De Young and see, I remember there was a Balenciaga exhibit, and Jean-Paul Gaultier, and Vivienne Westwood, and so we would go and absorb the artistry that is fashion, and I just think it's a wonderful artistic expression, and I just have a lot of fun with it.
Okay, Monica, thank you so much. Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
If you go with snowflake storm, when the river's freezing, summer is.
For anyone who's gonna hold your attention on a stage, you have to kind of be a freak.